showing that David Bowie is alive and well, playing the character of Jack Stephen, a supposed music industry executive with Fortress Music. I received a few messages from people stating there is a Jack Stephen on VMO. Let's compare the two. One thing I noticed right away, the teeth are not the same. I'm going to break this down a little bit here. Then I'm going to play the clips with David Bowie speaking and Jack Stephen, the supposed Jack Stephen from a few years back. Let's take a look at this image here. And this is the Jack Stephen from VMO in that video I'm going to show in a bit. But let's take a look at David Bowie and his teeth here. And that smile, you see no gap whatsoever in these teeth. And look at Jack Stephen, or supposed Jack Stephen, who's nothing more than David Bowie. No gap whatsoever. Unbelievable. I'm going to play some video clips. Again, with Jack Stephen speaking, you can clearly see that gap. I got a little bit of a close-up. You can definitely tell that this character, Jack Stephen, and David Bowie's playing that character, Jack Stephen. And who knows what happened to the real Jack Stephen, but nonetheless, David Bowie is alive and well, and he showed up on Sky News playing the character, Jack Stephen.
I've been asked here, as a complete outsider, to talk about Dallas's music scene. I have to stress that I am here on vacation, and I'm spending a lot of time in Dallas because I have a girlfriend here who I've fallen in love with at my grand old age of 53. Girlfriend here who I've fallen in love with at my grand old age of 53. Friend here who I've fallen in love with at my grand old age of 53.
First, sum up how you felt this morning when you heard this news.
I was just saying earlier that I actually felt that part of me had died. I mean, I have to say that's how much an influence he is, I think, to me and to thousands and millions of people around the world. And strangely, I'm surprised. I sort of lived through John Lennon's death, Elvis's death, and sadly, this one's affected me more than any other. I mean, it's a very strange thing.
Just saw this news article with Elton John talking about being on drugs, David Bowie, in a conversation with Vladimir Putin. Interesting enough, it also mentions his release of his 33rd album. Take a look here at this article at the very bottom. As I covered before, the David Bowie hoax. Nothing but a staged event, just another fake death, like so many throughout history. It states here, I knew he had a heart attack on stage in Berlin years ago, but not about the cancer. Everyone else, take note of this. Bowie couldn't have staged a better death. It was classy. How obvious can it be? They're telling you in these news articles, as I covered before with Angie Bowie, saying the same thing about David Bowie staging his death.
In fact, let me take this opportunity to say that I think he staged his passing rather well.
I just saw this video clip with TMZ talking about David Bowie's death. Complete joke. I mean, just look at the white rabbit in the background here. This, of course, represents going down the rabbit hole. Understand one thing, of course, with TMZ, just like CNN, owned and controlled by Time Warner, one and the same. And this is how they do it. TMZ for the younger crowd and CNN for the older crowd. The game is rigged. Those that control the media control the minds. But let's take a listen to this guy here talking about David Bowie's death. Completely ridiculous how they love to mock. Just take a listen.
Very sad news. David Bowie, rock legend, dead at the age of 69. Hey guys, it's Eric. David Bowie passed away after an 18-month battle with cancer, surrounded by his family. He just released his new album on a Friday, January 8th. That was also his birthday, his 69th birthday. And now his producer, Tony Visconti, is saying that this was all kind of planned.
All kind of planned. Wouldn't you think? Of course it was all planned. The passing, of course, 2 days after the release of the album. Of course, it's going to boost sales. David Bowie is doing this at this time to get away from the public eye. This is what so many celebrities have done in the past. I've They've done their time. They're going into retirement, out of the public's eye. All the time involved, just like they stated. Now let's take a look at this news article where it states this is David Bowie smiling just weeks before his death. His supposed death, of course. Now, he knows these are going to be his last public photos that are ever going to be taken. That's why you see this big smile. This man was not battling cancer. If you believe that, you're deceived 100%. This man would be in a wheelchair. He would not be in this situation, this state. You know, after 18 months, you coming down to your final days. There's no way you would look like this. How obvious can it be? Of course, they don't give an exact date of that photo. They just say weeks before his death. Scroll down here a little bit. I find this photo a little bit interesting. Just take a look at his fingers. Like almost like two hooks, two devil horns almost. Get a close up here of this one photo. And this is the one that's actually dated December 7th. And get down to it. This one here, in public. You know, if he was going through chemotherapy, there's no way he would have this full head of hair. And say, for example, he was, you know, going through chemotherapy and he let his hair grow back, it would not grow back evenly. It grows back in chunks, not even, like I said. With all these fake news stories, nothing ever adds up, nothing ever makes sense. Because it's all fabricated. That's all they give us is lies. CNN, Fox News, you know, these fake deaths. This world is nothing what it seems.
I'm just living out the American dream, and I just realized that nothing is what it seems.
If your ultimate goal is to be famous, then you're gonna do a lot to get there. Like sign your name in blood in a contract with the devil. Like you're gonna end up on a one-way street and it's going nowhere. Like that's just the truth. I've seen so many people like forsake their moral code and their value systems just for a little bit of fame, and it's not worth it at the end of the day. It's really not worth it.
David Bowie has been called by Time magazine the most influential of all rock musicians. This is because David Bowie is considered the greatest trendsetter in the history of rock music. Bowie was the first glitter rocker. He was also the forerunner of punk rock and the first to release disco music. Bowie was also the first artist to announce to the media that he was involved in homosexual practices. David Bowie says when he is in Japan, quote, "All those little boys are so cute. I just want to take them up into my room." But few realize that David Bowie's success was a result of his Satanism. Bowie admitted, "My overriding interest was in Kabbalah and Crowleyism, that whole dark, rather fearsome netherworld of the wrong side of the brain." Bowie declared, quote, "Rock music has always been the devil's music. You can't convince me that it isn't." Bowie seems to believe that rock music is Satan's vehicle to usher in Crowley's dark satanic age. Bowie declared, quote, "I feel that we're only heralding something even darker than ourselves." He said, quote, "I believe that rock and roll is dangerous. It could well bring about a very evil feeling in the West. That's where I see it heading, bringing about the dark era." Bowie has also been known to draw satanic pentagrams on his walls and make hexes. In his song Quicksand, David Bowie sings about being closer to the Golden Dawn, an occult organization that Crowley once belonged to, and then he goes on to sing about wearing Crowley's uniform.
I'm closer to the Golden Dawn, immersed in Crowley's uniform of imagery